And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, R. Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. And Tyler, we are joined by a very special guest today.
Brad, we are three today. We are so fortunate. The one, the only Dr. Tunisha Singleton is with us. Tunisha is the host of the I Have Questions podcast. She does so much more than that, though, Brad. She is a creative strategist, a media psychologist. We would say an absolute main event talent is joining GI today. Tunisha, how are you?
Yeah, main event. I'll take it. Yeah, you guys should do my intro like all the time when I do speaking engagements and stuff. They're like, listen, like, cut my music. Like, you guys should just follow me, like, be my hype guys. Thank you. I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
That's a great lead into my first question that's not on this list. What would be your entrance music?
Oh, fuck. Man, you know, I've thought about that question for, like, MMA, right? Like, if I was going to fight, like, what would be your fight song and stuff? Wrestling, I feel like it might be kind of similar, the same. But stuff I know would be on my short list of things to choose from, that Whoop That Trick from Hustle and Flow.
Yes.
Let's go.
Like, I definitely, because I would feel like the crowd is always, I'm considering perfect. That, right? Like, I would want the crowd to be like, whoop that trick, as I'm walking down.
And Terrence Howard would have to be in your entourage.
With the hair.
As well, okay.
Can't have just, baby wipes, any kind of Terrence Howard. You have to have those waves with him. And I'd be wearing, like, a denim jacket, trench coat, and, like, some Rhea Ripley kind of chains, but spiky things, and, like, a big tee behind me, like not the Undertaker kind of tee from his ministry days, but one that just looks more badass with like a crown crooked, like Basquiat style, and just that song and fans doing this.
You have thought about this.
A little.
That rules. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Tyler. Yeah, that would be on that list. Ooh. I mean, I wouldn't hate Bodak Yellow, or even some Cardi kind. Like I think that would be fucking sick.
Actually, that would be great, yeah.
Talking about, red bottom boots and all that, yeah. What else? Those two. Because I really, it's MMA, but not wrestling. But I just love that Derek Lewis is Fat Pat. Oh, God, I keep playing it all the time. Oh, Tops Drop. But he's from Houston, and that's a Houston rapper, and it's just amazing, and I love it. But I think I couldn't steal his, though. But I'm definitely along those lines, like Bodak Yellow, Whoop That Trick, something Bone Thugs feeling, or a female rapper, if possible. Even Lady of Rage Afro Puffs. Like, why not?
These are all fantastic options, Brad. I
have not thought about this.
Yeah, amazing. I think I came down to two. I sent you one last week. You by Bad Religion or The Bruise by No Effects. For the same reason. I want oi chants in the crowd when people when I'm walking out. When it says oi, we're the Bruise, and then the whole crowd goes oi oi. I think that would rule on the way out. Make that part of the thing. Tyler, what would you go for?
Oh man, I want to say I'm gonna
besides the entrance music I made you.
I was gonna say that's number one. If we're not counting that, do you both remember a gentleman by the name of Bone Crusher?
Yeah,
he had that song.
Yes,
thank you, Tunisha. He had that song "Never Scared." That has to be the answer. Mm-hmm. All the ones you said are great, both of you.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, thank you. Give me Bone Crusher. I think that was on one of those Def Jam fighting video games. I think I had it on Xbox.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You just unlocked part of my brain that I had forgot about.
I also.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just super nostalgic now. I also had N1 Street Ball for the PS2. That might be my favorite video game ever. I'm almost positive that song was on the soundtrack.
Never played it.
It was Bone Crusher, P.D. Pablo, I think Freak-a-Leak. I'm not coming out to Freak-a-Leak, but shouts to P.D.
On your gimmick.
Yeah. Bone Crusher is my answer, Brad.
That's awesome.
Well done. Good one. Good answer.
Awesome. Well, Tunisha, like I said, we are so grateful to have you on today. And we gave you that intro, but tell us about yourself and the work you do.
Oh, man. Big question. Yeah, I don't know how to describe what I do other than just, I want to have fun. I want to make dope experiences. I want to create spaces where people can create dope experiences and have things to consume that make them laugh, make them feel good, make them that, fulfills the intention like of the work. Because there's enough stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of, not to say that there isn't, cause to go into, really heavy issues about like social impact and all of this stuff. Like, absolutely. But we can't forget to have fun. We can't forget to live and enjoy and to laugh and love and all of that stuff. Otherwise, everything you're fighting for is fucking worthless to me. So my background's all in film. It's in radio. It's in screenwriting. Went to film school, did radio in undergrad at UC Santa Cruz. My first dream job was I wanted to be the female Howard Stern. I wanted to have a white guy in a cage like he had Robin. I wanted to talk shit about pop culture and dudes and have them walk around in jock straps and be like, "You're fucking ugly." Like, just like she did. Like, I wanted to be a shock jock. Because when I saw radio on television, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it blew my mind, that whole convergence culture when they had Howard Stern show on TV. To me, I was a teenager. And I was just like, I knew I liked it. I was like, wow, this is a really convergence of media, like, and breaking walls, right? I'm seeing now the process. I'm seeing what I'm hearing, this whole convergence of senses. So I didn't realize that was all very much part of like psychology and shit. I just knew I liked what I was seeing. And I wanted to make stuff that people liked seeing too. So I eventually, got my master's San Diego State, did screenwriting and new media production, moved to LA, worked there for like 15 years, working on shows and post-production studios, working on films and TV and doing all that stuff. Then social media kind of became a thing, and I started running the social accounts for like the Viper and the Key Club in Hollywood and some of these music venues on Sunset, running their fan contests and being like their voice and stuff on early days of like Twitter and Facebook. Before Instagram and stuff. And then I was like, I don't know, LA's kind of gross. Like, kind of sick of this business and this industry. There's got to be something more. And sports is always something that was a part of my life. Always was. My first memories are Mike Tyson fights and my parents inviting all their friends over to watch because we had the box. And so we could watch Tyson fights. We could watch wrestling, which I grew up obviously loving since I was a kid. Sports was an area sports media specifically was an area I always wanted to get into. So I got weird and I found this media psychology P.H.D. program. And I was like, yo, anybody talk about sports media and all of this convergence within there and fans? We're like, no. And I was like, great. Gave them a lot of money, still giving them money unless Biden comes up with something. Got my P.H.D. and in this and dedicated my study and my research specifically in that whole intersection of sports, media, storytelling, culture, and all of that stuff. So my dissertation was called, which is published, Digital Fandemonium, was looking all into the psychology of sports media and fandom, and have since then just been working independently, as a multimedia producer. Started a podcast, host podcasts for other clients, other artists in a bunch of different venues, help produce and create strategy and direction for commercials and digital events and all this shit. But, long-winded way of just trying to say what I think how I tried to state it in the beginning was I just want to make dope shit.
That's amazing. Yeah. I just looked it up. There's definitely resources out there. If you're watching this, listening to this, I'm going to check it out as soon as we're done here. I'm excited to. I feel you with the paying off stuff though. I was working on my PhD before I realized I'm getting A's in all of these classes and I haven't learned anything. And my chair kept quitting, and I was a class away from starting my dissertation and I had nobody to oversee it. I didn't even have a topic picked or anything. And I was like, this is stupid. I'm out of here. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's why I bailed. That's why I never finished. This is just a giant waste of time. Turns out it's also a giant waste of money.
I'm saying.
Because I still have to pay all of that off.
That's fucking nuts.
But
it is such an investment. And that's why, academia, I never wanted to be in academia. I told you my dream job was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's as far away as academia as you can get. But what I realized, though, it's that I thought I didn't want to be in academia because no one in academia looked like me or sounded like me and talked like me. So I was like, maybe I could change that shit subconsciously or somehow, you know, even along the way, because now as a professor, which I am, you know, still part-time teaching in the graduate program that I came from and giving talks and speaking about this stuff, I'm getting the students are, I've been blessed. Like I'm getting such great comments and feedback from them because it's like, oh wow, like I didn't know you could do this, you know. And I read into that, and they think that I didn't know I could do this, that I could study Black Twitter at a high academic level. Yes, you fucking can. Oh, I didn't know I could study sports at this level. Yes, you can. These not just because, and I've said this before when I even interviewed it for like some tenured positions and stuff, and I was like, I'm not ready to do all of that stuff because. You heard of that old saying, like, those who do, those who don't teach.
Oh, I hate that.
Heard that once or twice.
Right.
Oh,
a few times,
worst.
right?
The absolute worst.
I think because it's too common in some scholarly spaces. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do both. I can't I can't inform, a classroom on how something should be if I don't know what the ingredients are.
Yes.
What all the tools are of all of this stuff. And it's funny because when I teach, when I talk and even interview, like for some tenure positions and stuff, and they're just like, oh, well, yeah, like you don't have as many scholarly publications and all that stuff. And it's like, no, I'm too busy working on this project and this project and this project to actually validate some of what these people are trying to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
But it's an industry all in and of itself that, has its good and bads and pluses and minuses, just like everything else. But it's like a lot of people is just breaking down that stigma of like what a scholar is, what a critical thinker is. It's like just because you have your Ph.D. doesn't mean your spirit has to be surgically removed. You don't have to be dry crotched and fucking lame. It's like you can study this stuff and actually have fun and live it and be, like there's enough, the world, there's enough shit out there. Like you might as well, be able to still have your personality, have your spirit, and be able to be professional. Which I can, it's we are more than one thing. We can wear all of those different hats.
That's great. That's so great to hear. That man, I'm just so fascinated by your particular industry and your lane in psychology because I love psychology so much and I think it's fascinating. I love studying it, especially social media. What you said about people academically studying Black Twitter because it's such a great dynamic and it's such a unique space and. I love being able to be outside and observing it because it's so interesting to me. It's also so damn entertaining. And
you gotta
it's
follow
just really
Dr.
great.
A. Do you follow him on Twitter?
No.
Oh my God.
Never heard of him.
I will put in the chat so you got to see him. It's at Doc Dre, Ph.D. I think he's wrote a book about distributed blackness, like talking about Black Twitter, and
that's amazing.
And Black cyber cultures and stuff. I think like his handle it's like thought leader, but like
thought leader,
like THOT. So he's hilarious. But great academic and just
Godfather gimmick.
Yeah, total Godfather.
Okay.
Black Twitter. These are digital spaces. These are communities that, again, these are not all robots. Like these are created by people, so there are conscious behaviors in order to get on here, participate, create something. And it's like, why? Right? That's because there's a need. There's a transaction. Everything is transactional, and currency is not just dollars and cents, right? Time, value, feeling recognized, seen in a good way. All of those are reasons why we participate. I'm going to spend too much money to go to this game, because I'm going to get something in return. Therefore, it's not too much money. It's appropriate for what I am looking to get out of it. Experience is something that you can't put in a wallet, but it's worth arguably more than anything you could put in it.
Well, that's great. And it's a great transition into the second question. Speaking of experiences, how did you become a fan of pro wrestling? And I know you've talked about this in the past, but I know our listeners would love to hear it.
Yeah, my brother, we're 10 years apart, and we're really, really close. He named me, right? Like he was 9 or 10 years old when I was born, and my parents were like, I don't give a fuck. And so he had like this little 6th grade girlfriend or whatever in class named Tunisha. And then he was like, oh, let's name her this. And they're like, done now. But he, just like any other, little boy in the 80s, he grew up in the 70s and I was born in 83. So when he would babysit me and stuff, I'm sitting with him. He was watching wrestling. So I was too. Like he had all the action figures and he was into that stuff and he watched with his friends and he wrestled with his friends and I wanted to. So I was like, you're not just going to not invite me. Like, you're not going to not.
Right.
Like, you're not going to not let me win. Hello. So I was right there. And then, at first, like, they turned it off. Like, they thought I would hate it or think it was, scary and too violent. But I was like, turn this shit up. Like, I was all in with my personality. I was all about it. So he was like, oh, wow, like, she really likes this. So, like, since I was 5, been way
awesome.
into it. And I remember just so many early figures, like, I mean, obviously, the big ones that everyone names, like the Ultimate Warrior and the Macho Man, and, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, all of that stuff. And, I remember Sapphire, who came out with Dusty Rhodes, because she actually looked like people in my family, right? Who was dancing, and they always had a good time, and they danced before, and then they danced after they won, Like, I remember Virgil a lot, and that bit where, like, where Roddy Piper had a feud, I think, with $1 Million Man, and he tried to like buy Virgil or something, and Roddy was down with his busted knee, and Virgil was just screaming like, get up, and he was just giving him like the business to get up and continue fighting. And I remember, it was like, oh my god, like there are those kind of Coco Beware. I was like, I want a bird.
Beware,
like
yes.
I remember JYD, like, so there were so many figures that like look that were black, that looked like me, looked like my family. So, and I remember my family was always like, oh, cool, they have some black folks. Oh, cool, they do have that, So it was, even then, like those very few select ones in my house, that was important. And when I'm 5, even, that's, I'm not aware of it. I just was liking a good time, but I recognized what made everybody have a good time. And that was when there was somebody that we could identify with that was getting involved, something even beyond the story. Right. But instantly grew up watching wrestling. I think my first match that I went to, Orange Pavilion in San Bernardino, was like 92, 93. I was like 9, 10 years old. Still have a lot of them. Still have a lot of my trading cards. And I think I still have my lunch pail back there from when I was in like kindergarten. Big wrestling fan growing up. There was nothing no one could tell me about it. And I am blessed, to have a family that supported me and my personality and stuff. So when there would be people like, oh my God, like you're wearing that or whatever. And then like my parents were like, oh, if somebody, wants to say something about one of your wrestling shirts or how I decided to wear my hair or my shoes, like tell them to kiss your ass. Like that's what my mom said, like since I was little. I was
that's
like,
awesome.
Okay.
Love that. So, that's the energy we need.
Yeah. Like what you like.
Yeah. Nobody said anything to me. I think after the first time they saw a toddler say, kiss my ass. Wow. So I've been pretty confident ever since.
Yeah. And Tunisha, follow-up question. So Brad and I have shared, I think, on air and off air about similar to you, when we were kids, we developed a love for this. But then I would say sometime around high school, it stopped being cool, and we spent years not watching. So even in high school and then during undergrad, you still kept that love? You didn't conceal it?
Yeah, there was certainly no concealing. Even in high school, I was like the assistant sports editor and had a wrestling column. And I loved talking about,
That's
I think
great.
I may have said, we talked about this in like my takeover episode, like of IHQ, but there was, I liked being the go-to person. So like people as soon as I walked on school on Tuesday, they were like, what happened last night? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you. Oh my God. So the Ministry of Darkness. And I would get into it like lunch table style, like come. And I gave this sermon, like synopsis of what happened on Monday Night Raw. They're like, all right, we'll see you next week kind of thing. Like, and I just delivered this thing and I loved that. So that was like high school. And that was great because high school was the Attitude Era. And then for college, 2001, that was the transition into WWE. That was now like the get the F out, entertainment era. Right. And still love that. one of the best, like, shout out David Scott. I'm going to make sure that he listens to this. So all of a sudden, like, I graduated college in 01. Or no, I'm sorry. I went in 01. I graduated 05. Randomly. So cut to 05. So maybe a couple of months ago, I get a DM from a complete stranger, someone I'm not following, someone's name. It's not even a name. It's just a random account. And it was like, is this Toonie who took me to Monday Night Raw in 2003 that went to Santa Cruz? And I was like, excuse me? I know who I took to Monday Night Raw in college. I was like, that was my boy E.T., that was my roommate Claudia, it was me and David Scott. Oh my God, is this David? And I'm like talking to him. He was like, hey, oh my God, I can't believe you're here, you're around, you're on Twitter, you should like watch wrestling. And I was like, yeah,
that's so great.
Shout out to David.
So it's just funny that that's what people associated me with still, even in college then, right? And the fact that that's what people remembered and associated me by almost 20 years later, like saying, hey, you took me to my first wrestling match back in college. Like, that was sick. Like, I had goosebumps reading that. I still do, just thinking about it. I was like, yay, that was so much fun. Still have the pictures and shit back here behind me. But then after that, awesome. There definitely was this, like, and maybe it was a combination of, like, now I'm in my mid-20s and it's sucking. Maybe there was that something happened where I was just like, it was must-see TV for me for 20 years straight, damn near. And then all of a sudden I was like, And I stopped. Era. Yeah. The Cena, G era, even into Punk. Like CM Punk when he became champion, I was just like, I was casually kind of watching from afar. Like, that's when even, really, really early, like, MySpace days now. So there wasn't a lot of live tweeting what's going on or anything like that. That wasn't around. But, like, in the dirt sheets that I would follow, I'd just be like, so what happened? Oh, okay, whatever. And then, but I was not into it from that whole G era, that whole Punk era. Didn't watch. I was just like, wasn't into it. Diva, fuck out of here. I could not, like, give me the butterfly belt. Fuck off. Like, I'd rather have bra and panty pillow matches. Like, at least then we knew what it was. Don't camouflage it with some fucking butterfly. And be like, you're a Divas champion. No, you're not.
Yeah, we were going to ask you, Tunisha, it's so funny you mentioned that because on our questions doc here, we were going to ask if you had a preference between WWF versus WCW versus ECW. And I think particularly being a woman, I don't not a woman of color, I don't not a black woman, what was it like to be a fan during that time? Because Brad and I, it's this weird place of having a lot of nostalgia for the Attitude Era, but also recognizing that it was so problematic, even beyond gender. Just so there's so many problems. But and again, I know you kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, but I think Brad and I and our listeners would love to hear, what was it like? Because clearly you were a fan of that time. Was it like in the moment, did you recognize, oh, okay, there are mud fights and bra and panties matches, and you didn't turn it off?
No, I was like, this is entertaining. And I knew I was in the middle of, like, that Attitude Era. And I was like, oh no, this is something for everyone in here, And there was, of course, it's degrading and it was disgusting. And a lot of it was racist and a lot of it misogynistic and homophobic and just so many questions that today wouldn't fly. Right. We could say the exact same thing about Eddie Murphy's Delirious, and I will still watch it though. Like, it's, I don't know, it was entertainment, and it still is. And I don't know, maybe it's complicated, it's hard, but even like I still watched all the mud matches and the bra and panty matches and stuff, because and obviously at the time we weren't privy to, like, maybe what was going on, how were they feeling, if they wanted to do that or if they were forced to do that, and if that's the case, then like after the fact, now we're like, oh damn, that was fucked up, It's the stuff we learn after the fact half the time. Right. But like,
like you said, there was no Twitter, there was no if that happens now, Twitter is engulfed with thoughts.
Right, and the talent are much more vocal now, right? They'll literally, like, Ali is like, I'd like my release, please. Like, that wasn't happening.
Favorite of the show,
Yeah, that wasn't happening in 99.
And even when it was that, like, Bite This stuff that the company itself was producing. So it wasn't people's reaction. It was just sort of propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah. And so at the time, yeah, I was still watching it. I was still all about it. And I liked ECW too. And I was like, man, Francine. I was just like, yeah, that bitch is hardcore. I was like, I liked it because I just liked seeing women do shit that was opposite of what WWE was doing. So I liked the extreme stuff. And I was a big WWF homer and stan. Like, I would always look at like the ratings books and stuff like that. So I was like, how is WCW winning? No, like I was like, you people are cheap. And then I didn't watch my first seconds of watching WCW was with NWO. That's when, because I was, a big Shawn Michaels was my favorite growing up. So I was a big Diesel fan too. So when that whole curtain call thing happened, and I was like, wait, what?
Man,
like, I felt like that convergence culture again of like radio on TV. I was like, but we've crossed the streams. Yeah. And then
how did this happen?
And then they go on WCW, and I was like, oh, and Alundra Blaze drops the championship in the trash can. I was like, oh, yes. Like, so that's when I started watching WCW, and had to have mom give me 2 TVs now because there was like 10 minutes of overlap.
So difficult.
I was like,
so difficult, yeah.
Now I was into it, but that was like the only time I started watching WCW was because Kevin Nash and the whole NWO thing happened.
Yeah, so you and I did you graduate in 2001?
Yeah.
High school? Yeah, same. Me too. So we probably have very similar viewing experiences. Yeah. It was always I wrote about it up on the website. It was the first thing I wrote about. It was 8 p.m. Nitro would start and Eastern time.
Right.
And it was great. That first hour I'd always get something, but they'd give you something for the first 15, 20, and then they'd bring out somebody that would probably put on a banger of a match. It was probably the cruiserweights.
Right.
And it was going to be great, but nobody really cared. Then Mang and his mullet would come out, and then it would be 9 o'clock, and suddenly it's Raw. I got to go watch Raw, the opener of Raw. Who's going to be on tonight? And it was just, they'd both end at the same time, and it was just, which one do I choose? Because I only had the one TV, so it was throw a tape in the VCR, watch one, and then as soon as it's done, try to watch the next or try to watch the other one. But it was also Monday night on a school night, and it's 11 p.m. and my parents are kind of pissed that I'm up. So
my parents,
it's just
they understood. They read the syllabus because that I laid out. I was like, listen, Mondays are off. So if I'm late on Tuesday, then I'm late on Tuesday. Okay, and to my credit, I was a good kid. I played 2 varsity sports. I was a straight A student. I didn't fuck up. I was a good kid. So they're like, all right, let her watch her little funky wrestling. God bless my parents. They paid for all of it, driving me all around the state of California and actually the country. I made them. My mom flew with me to Houston because I had to go to WrestleMania 17 at the Astrodome. So I was there for TLC 2.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a funny story. Wow. I talked to Christian. I don't know if you heard this story that I told before.
Yeah, I have. Tyler, have you heard this? Okay, yeah, I definitely have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I sent you guys that one because that's how I had to go to WrestleMania 17 because I got to talk to Christian on the radio show, and I tried to meet him at WrestleMania 16, which I was at the Pond Honda Center, whatever. I'll still call it the Pond, in Anaheim, and that was their first ever fan festival, their fan access. The first one they ever did was in WrestleMania 16 in Anaheim. And I went with my friend in high school. We were running around and saw Christian. I was like, dude, and Bob Backlund, totally cock blocked, got in the way. And this was during his gimmick of you fans need to be respectful. And I was like, if you don't get the fuck on my way, bro, I'm going to talk to a superstar right now. And he's breaking character. He's laughing, his beat red. And I just see Christian wave and walk away. And I was like, no. And then cut 2 months later, I don't know how I got in this thing and got to talk to him. And he was like, well, I'll be at WrestleMania 17. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, Mom, I need to go to WrestleMania 17. Christian wants to meet me, blah, blah. He got on a plane with me because I was still 16, 17 years old. Flew to Houston, ran up to Christian, was like, I'm here.
Long-term storytelling.
That's good. Yes.
Lied in my face, and I love him for it. And he needs to go in the Hall of Fame for it because he was like, "Oh, I remember." No, he doesn't. He never could fucking remember. I am no one, and it was over a year and as many interviews as he has to do with the people that he meets. No fucking way he remembered me, but he lied in my face. He said he remembered me and that he was glad I could make it. and I love him for it. And he needs to go in the Hall of Fame for it.
That's awesome.
Amen. He kept kicking.
Amen. And I still have to, and I tag him sometimes. I should be more diligent about reaching out to him online just to still say thank you, because I have our awkward picture and in his autographs. And yeah, he's still one of my favorites of all time.
That pic you sent with Backlund in it, just cracked that slayed me.
He's like, whoa.
Just Bob Backlund was just sort of around the WWE for 40 years, just sort of hovering there, coming out in the red trunks or the blue trunks every once in a while, just always just sort of there, just never really left. It's just amazing.
I know. Big up, Bob.
That's awesome. In case you're new to our listeners, Tunisha, tell us about your experience on the independent scene in LA. So if we have listeners that are already tapped into IHQ, if they're not already, they will be tapped into your podcast. But if they're not at the moment, you have independent wrestling experience, specifically in Los Angeles. Tell us more about that.
Not as talent, I'll clarify. Like, I wasn't talent or anything. No, I was helping do some management and social media in the background works, and small minority owner of Maverick Wrestling, which is Southern California, LA-based indie promotion. And it was awesome because I ended up going to a show just as a fan. I hadn't been to an indie. This was again like in a period where I wasn't watching as much. And I was just like on a periphery, checking in, seeing what was going on. And I started seeing and reading up on like SoCal Uncensored and some great like wrestling scenes and networks that really just talk about like what's going on and the new up and coming stars and all this stuff. So I started to pivot and care more about indies than actual like WWE at the time and stuff. And so when going through all of those and watching, I was like, oh wow, like there's some really cool orgs out here. There's some great promotions and some talent. And I got introduced to Killer Cross. And I started following him online and was just, not only just really in awe of his work and his talent. I think he posted a lot of great stuff about just even fitness and wellness and kind of all that, which I respected, and I enjoyed watching that content and looking at his work in the ring. And I remember he posted something about an indie show for Maverick. Oh God, I can't remember the video. It was like one of those, not a strip place, but one of those X-Pole caliber kind of things where like you do burlesque. I don't know what the fuck it was called. It was called pole something. But it was in the valley of LA where I was living, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll go. And I took a friend of mine who had never been to wrestling. I guess I just like doing that. Whenever I can, just taking a newbie in, because I like watching them watch something for the first time that I know, right? So I took a friend of mine who had never seen, I don't even think, a Monday Night Raw. Like if we said wrestling, she'd be like, The Rock? Like that. And funny enough, like as soon as we walk in, she knew the owner. They worked together in some other capacity. So I was like, fuck you. I was like, really? Jackie, you know Brandon? What's up? And she was like, Brandon, you don't understand who this is. And I was like, I have no one, Jackie. Like, calm down, whatever. But we ended up connecting and then met Cross afterwards, started talking. And I was like, I would love to help. I want to get involved and help try and blow up Maverick and really make this a great destination and one of the go-to premier places in Los Angeles. So it was awesome. Got on board, started working with the team, started doing a lot and making some great shows and making a lot of great content enough where he got signed to WWE. Shortly after, he was, well, technically he still is our reigning Maverick champion. And as is Chris Bay is our revolutionary champion, which is like our intercontinental, like our mid one. And and Bay is doing awesome things too, and and so it's great. We did a lot of great work and putting out a lot of dope shows, and then COVID happened, and we haven't had a show since, which is like super unfortunate. But it's like one of those things that, we tried to do something special, and I don't think we're buried just yet. We probably will have one of those uprisings again, like The Undertaker, and just come back, or Tyson Fury, where you think we're down in the 9th and then just rise up out of nowhere, and we might do something again that's super special when we feel like it's definitely safe to and we get all our ducks in a row. But it's awesome seeing and being a part of the promotional level and the inner workings of all of it. And it's awesome and super fun, and we had a lot, and we still do. We have a great team,
Yeah, that's amazing. I've always wondered, how do you, with especially with an independent promotion, forget about all the business side of like the WWE, which is just it's billions of dollars, or at least $billion of dollars, probably billions if you throw in just Saudi shows.
Right.
And which, well, whatever, for another time. I just, what do you do in the indies? So we had, I don't even remember the name of it. We would have companies come through in my hometown of Escanaba, Michigan.
Oh.
And no, I'm not surprised if you haven't heard of it. It is really small, but these promotions would show up and perform at the state fairgrounds in the Ruth Butler Exhibition Building, which was essentially a big steel warehouse, just totally empty. Some house lights, and it's a barn. Literal fans on the wall to circulate air like a barn. And that was the only place that you could get pro wrestling outside of Green Bay, which was a 2-hour hike. And we just never had money, so it was just never in the cards for us. Like my dad wasn't into it. My dad wasn't going to be like, yeah, let's go down. I think you would love to see SmackDown. That was never going to happen. But it's really interesting. Man, I want to know more.
The passion.
At some point we'll deep dive.
Yeah, the passion is so huge. And like we had like so many diehard fans, even just lining up, at the indie level. And you can't tell them shit. Like this was still their WrestleMania, especially the kids when they light up, And Paul London worked with us and, was part of like our training staff and our booking team and stuff. And so people just love him, still recognize him, have his dolls still, especially even the stuff with Lucha Underground is sick. And so we always had like really, really great, the relationships they have are huge. Because anytime, we were doing shows either for Maverick or other indies around Los Angeles, people would be like, oh my God, we got to get Cross and London together and everybody make the Rabbit Tribe again, and it's just doing all this stuff. Like people, the community's dope. Like that's why I still always just love wrestling and wrestling fans, and it's such an awesome dynamic because that you can't tell them shit. Like things that happened in a pole place or outside at a brewery. Like this was still just fun. It was just fun, and the guys and seeing the talent, the guys and girls get together and all of that. Like they still, the relationships are huge, and you can tell that they really care about each other.
Yeah, and that's something Brad and I often reflect on is it is such a community. Our experience with community looks a little bit different than yours, obviously. We don't have that firsthand independent experience, but Brad and I think at some point, Brad, last year when we were working together, we worked together for 5 years, Tunisha, before I moved back to my hometown. But I think by year 5, Brad and I just expressed our love for wrestling so outwardly. Brad, do you remember on Fridays we would just wear our wrestling tees and just talk about it openly? Yeah. And colleagues, our wonderful colleagues, are probably thinking secretly like, these assholes, why do they why do they watch yeah, Brad.
We would invite them to lunch with us on Fridays. Yes. Last year on Fridays we had no students, so they were all remote. Everybody was remote, so we would all have lunch together. We would meet up in one of the classrooms, and it was always Tyler's on Fridays, or mine every once in a while. And we would show them a match. Like they would come down for lunch, and we'd be like, "This match rules. We're gonna watch this match." We watched the Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa Lights Out match, the Takeover Bianca match, Sasha Bianca, Sasha Bailey
Takeover.
At Takeover.
Yeah, poster in the background.
Yeah.
There we go.
There. Yeah, very nice.
There it is.
Yeah, and every time a couple of the colleagues I think really appreciated it. And if they didn't, they tolerated it. Yeah. So but it was like, yeah, come down, we're going to watch this really cool thing, hang out with us. And then you and I have seen these things, and we're like reacting louder than anybody else in the room to all these spots, like just that kind of stuff. And we've already seen it. Why are we yelling? But they seem to have a good time with it.
Yeah, it's just the best. Well, Tunisha, you mentioned Chris Bay, Killer Cross, Christian, right? Some of your favorites here. We're curious, who are some of your other favorite wrestlers currently, whether that be WWE, AEW, Impact, certainly the independents? Who are you enjoying?
Oh man, that's a good question. Because I never really got into a lot of NXT and takeover stuff unless like I'm hearing and seeing the attention be drawn like on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter or somebody's like, yo, you need to check out, Bianca, like you need to really look at this, or you really need to check out so and so, and then I go after the fact of like, wow, and then I like almost that feeling of like I'm being late, right? Because like everybody was already on board and I'm being late. Like I like feeling surprised like that, right? I think that's a good thing sometimes. Like I don't have to always
Mm-hmm.
be the front one, but Bianca is definitely one that I like, and I hadn't seen a WrestleMania in years, but last year I did, and I was like, all right, I have to see Sasha and Bianca
Yeah.
main event. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see this because 5-year-old me would go ape shit. And so that was my first time watching WWE in years, like a full show.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely big fans of Bianca and Sasha. I really like Britt too. Britt Baker
Yeah.
I've seen your tweets.
my
Yes.
shit too. Like,
Yeah, she's so great.
I catch myself doing, instead of DMD,
P.H.D. Yes.
Let's
yes.
go.
I do that all the time.
Let's get the
That's
t-shirt
awesome.
going.
Give me some coffee mugs, like all the things. So I definitely catch myself doing her and walking around with like boom and just doing her intro, like walking into an office or some shit. Big fan of her. Jade Cargill is someone too that
man.
I'm actually like just now starting to. At first, I wasn't
Just
all
goddess.
in. I was just like, what? Like the whole Shaq thing. Like when they teamed up, I was like,
Well, that was rough. That was rough.
yeah. I was just like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, need
But
to see
hey,
more.
like you said, you could tell that she put in work. And not only just has the package and just looks like a Marvel character.
Yes.
So yeah, she got in the talent equally is impressive now, and just that growth. Men's side, I still love all of the favorites, which the ones that we can still see now, like Christian Hardys and that type of stuff. But outside, like I think who else is doing awesome stuff? Big E, in New Day, big fans. I'm not only just like are they equally hilarious, but I think talent wise, the three of them individually are also just amazing. I think when Kofi won, that was the last time I had seen a WrestleMania, and then stopped until this last year when Sasha and Bianca. Who else is can't fucking miss for me? I love. I almost said, God. Why am I blanking? I'm like looking at him in my head right now.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson?
No,
Okay.
I never really got into the yes thing. I'd never.
No? Okay. Okay.
That is one where I never really got into the yes thing. I was just like,
honestly wasn't
okay.
as big of a fan of that as I'm enjoying his American Dragon work in AEW. Though.
Yeah.
He's totally different dude. I love him as a heel.
Yeah.
Been fun to watch. Kenny Omega,
I was
maybe
about to say,
Powerhouse
yeah,
Hobbs.
like them, love them. They're really, really cool. Luchasaurus is one who worked for Maverick Wrestling a lot too, and we saw.
cool.
I got to see him a lot in the Indies with Maverick in LA. So seeing him
great.
on the
Awesome.
big stage is great. But I was, who am I fucking? God, he's engaged to Charlotte Flair.
Andrade.
Thank you, God. I
Yes.
was just like, why can't they say it? I was like, why?
We
can't
knew
they
you were
think
going to
of
get there.
him?
Yeah,
was
what do
like,
you think? What do you think
Yeah.
of Andrade?
Oh man, I think he's just such a good worker. Like he's
He's
it
incredible.
looks
Star.
Natural. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like he
Effortless.
doesn't sweat. Yeah, like I feel
Yeah.
like after he's done, like he's not even perspiring a little bit. And I'm also really curious. I'm still following a lot like the whole Malachi Black thing. I'm curious. I'm like where that's going. I mean, because he is just also one of those like physically impressive dudes, and the look there. And it's funny that they kept the whole eye thing.
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
black.
How good is
I
that?
loved it. Loved it.
like, I
How
loved
good
it.
is that?
Yeah, that this dude is still like, still can't see out of this shit. Like, I like that. I'm just like, that's a committed motherfucker. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious to see, like, all right, is he just gonna swift kick people in the head, roundhouse them all the fucking day? So I'm curious to see kind of where that goes. And I love Abaddon. I just want to see more
Yes,
Abaddon.
thank
please.
you.
Really?
I love following
Agreed.
her on Instagram. I just love it. You talk about committed. I saw
Motivating.
yeah,
Yes.
and Chris Jericho said something like, when he does his little stupid cruise, I thing. I guess she was on
the Jera cruise.
Right. She was on one of the more recent ones, and he was like, yo, she still was walking around in blood all fucking day. Like, she did not break character whatsoever. She's walking around a boat, like, drinking a red party cup still, like, bleh. I was like, yes! So I respect it. I want to see more of it. When she had that fight with Britt, I really dug that. I loved that. A couple of months ago, I think that closed.
Yeah.
Either maybe it was Rampage that was.
Yeah, wasn't it a Halloween themed?
Yeah, it was Halloween.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the last time we've seen her on Rampage or Dynamite. I haven't even seen her on Dark.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen her on Dark recently, so I don't know what's going on there. She might have been injured or something too. Who knows? But
that is one when I see her, I mark out, or when I know that they promote her, I'm like, yeah, Abaddon, kill them all.
Man, I love it. Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, such a unique character.
Yeah.
Great picks.
Yeah, well, Tunisha, we are really interested to hear your thoughts on the next topic here. So on a previous episode, we obviously had to discuss the Big Swole and Tony Khan situation and all the kind of periphery around that. So really, we would love to know your thoughts, not only on Khan and Swole and that interaction, but also just representation in wrestling as a whole. What did you make of that big Twitter story and again the topic of representation in now 2022 in professional wrestling?
I remember seeing the tweet and I remember just being like, probably could have done without that one. I definitely was like, could have said that better. Do I think he's a racist or anything like that? No. Is he ignorant? Yeah. Just like probably a lot of us are to some degree, And there's been a lot of talks about like DEI, representation, all this stuff that I do, not only like with Black Girl Hockey Club, the work that I do with them, but just in general, in entertainment industry, in the tech industry, in all of these spaces, representation is obviously like becoming this thing. And it's almost like what Tony said reflected just the ignorance that I see a lot of people do, which is like, you don't play diversity, bro. Like, you can't say, look how many black friends I have. You can't do that, because then it just makes us look like pawns. And that then you have a quota or something, and we're not. It's not that. And that's what he belittled Swole to be, or to justify himself, right? If you want to say we cut her because she didn't perform well, fine. Say that. Don't say, it's fine because I still have all of these working for me, right? And that's what it looked like. And if he focused just on the work, that's fine. And you can tell everyone will have like a bad day when they just like emotionally tweet shit, right? That was a bad one, because now this is the owner of the fucking company. This is a multi-millionaire, right? We're talking about, this family, and it was a poor moment and a poor reflection, and it just illustrated that we still have a hell of a lot more work to do, because people still think that quotas is enough, and it's not. And we're Tuesday is the 1st of February. It's what most people consider, call a Black Friend Month, and you don't play diversity. Like, I'm tired of people like wanting, like, hey, we would really love it if you could participate in this thing. It's February something. And I was like, what's wrong with the other 11 fucking months?
Thank you.
Like, I'm Black.
Shortest
like,
month
I don't,
of the year.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't celebrate Black History Month because I fucking am Black History 24/7. So I don't need to celebrate it every month. This is for y'all, because you are the ones that apparently need to do this, and not just in February. Critical race theory, representation, this is all so included, but it's that, why isn't there white entertainment television, which is just every other fucking channel. It's that whole conversation, but those are still very real conversations that people have. And what Tony said reflected that same pool of ignorance of like, yeah, see, it's fine because we have this, and this. It doesn't matter what this, and this is. Because if we are just that for you, if we're just coins of this whole, look, we're the most represented, we're the most diverse company, you show it without telling it. And by what you do, right? You don't have to flex it. Not everything needs to be a hashtag. Not everything needs to be, have a paid campaign behind it or anything like that. Just do the work and what you stand for will come out. I'm always telling clients about like matching values with action. It's like, if you believe in representation and diversity and all of this stuff and inclusion and blah, blah, whatever, it's like, then show me your receipts, you know? And it's like, what have you done to illustrate those things? And it goes far beyond, look how many I've hired. You're welcome. Because it very much looked like one of those, like he wanted to be, like he thought this was fire. He was like, ooh, I'm gonna get him. Like that felt, you know, like he was wanting, like, look, see, showed you. Nah, son. So I totally, you know, understand like where Swole was coming from. And she was another one of those that, you know, I enjoyed watching and enjoyed, you know, rooting for. And one I just liked the fucking name. And I think, you know.
Yes, and the entrance.
Yeah, the entrance is sick. I haven't seen her match with Trisha Dora, who's another one in the indies that I absolutely love and have gotten a chance to interview and talk to a few times, like in the, you know, DC area. But I know they had a match shortly thereafter that was supposed to be scheduled. I don't know if it was GCW or who it was for, or it might have been like a DC based promotion. I'm not sure, but
I think I saw the poster.
Yeah, it came out right after the whole thing, and which the timing, sometimes you just can't write this shit. But you know, I felt bad for her because it never feels good to feel like you're a pawn and you're a token. It never feels good, you know? So there's, you know, just like every other industry, there's work we got to do. And I know, you know, Black Wrestling Matters and this stuff like are, you know, trending niches and communities and Twitter that we're talking about, and it's great. And I love reading about it and wanting to support, you know? And I think support looks like we were talking earlier about transactions and like what you put in and all of that stuff. And support in this thing, it looks like actually buying things. It looks like showing up. It looks like wearing the t-shirts. Because when I wear Trisha Dora's shirt at the gym, people are like, oh shit, Afro Punk, what is that? And they're like, does that say Lariat Tubman? And I was like, yes, it does. It does say Lariat Tubman, which is the greatest finishing move.
That's so incredible.
All fucking time. Which is her finishing move. And I was like, brilliant. And it has a bunch of sunflowers on it. It's my favorite incredible flower. And I was like, amazing. Yeah. So that's what support looks like, right? Buying the things, especially in this industry where there's still independent contractors. Give me a fucking break. So there's so much more things that could be done. But yeah, it was just a setback, what Tony did, what Tony said. And I don't know if this has happened since because I'm not as locked in, but all he needed to do was say, I fucked up. And I don't know if he said that yet.
No. Brad, right? Not that I've seen.
Yeah, because
no,
the tweet is still up as well.
Yeah, it felt like he doubled down on it. He never took it down, and then he just sort of moved on.
Because the thing that got me was, it down because I mean, we live in a screenshot world. I would just quote tweet my own shit and say, I apologize.
Yeah, that's all he had to do.
Say I fucked up. I respect that a hell of a lot more than taking it down, because taking it down won't remove what happened, and we all know what happened. So we need to be accountable, show what we did, but know and recognize and say, I fucked up. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it, which is I'm going to learn. I'm going to listen, which half the time is listen, right? It's like that old... It's weird how South Park sometimes can actually lead to great educational moments. But I recently rewatched that whole Wheel of Fortune episode.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this, Tyler? Where Stan...
No, I didn't want to interject, Tunisha. I'm all ears. Brad is definitely more of the South Park expert, I think, than me. I'm all ears, though. Wheel of Fortune.
There was an episode where Stan's father was on Wheel of Fortune, and it's the final word, and he does all the letters, and it looks like it's the N word that he has to guess. And the category is people who annoy you. And he's like, oh, my God, I do not want to say this. And he says it. And he says it proudly. And then a black camera guy pans like, the fuck? Like he just said it. And then Vanna White goes over and like creaks over the vowel. And it was naggers. And he's like, oh, right. And he's like, ooh. So the entire episode is about this. But the point is that what reminded me of it was like, so Stan and, you know, the black kid Token, Stan was like, listen, I'm really sorry. My dad's an idiot. I know what you mean. I know how you feel. And Token's like, no, you fucking don't. And he was like, no, for real, though. He kissed Jesse Jackson's ass. It's cool now. And he's like, That doesn't fucking matter. No, that never works.
Right.
So Kutsu, at the very end of the episode, he was like, Token, I get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I will never know what it's like to know what that word feels like, or to hear that word. I will never know. I don't get it. And then Token was finally like, thanks, Stan. I really appreciate you for being a friend. Because that's all that it matters. Like, all you have to say is recognize that you don't fucking get it. You can't get it. And Tony, even though he's a person of color, he still can't get it. That doesn't mean that he gets a pass.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why that Cartman or that South Park bit where Stan was finally like, hey, I don't get it. I'll never get it. So I'm sorry. I don't get it. But I'm your friend. I want to, and listen. Like, that's all people need to do sometimes. Shut the fuck up and listen. And Tony didn't shut the fuck up. Sometimes you just have to listen. Listen to if that made her feel some type of way, she has a right to do it. She has a right to feel that way. And this is her former boss making her feel that way.
Yeah.
All he had to do was say, I fucked up. And since the tweet's still up there, that's a good thing, because all he has to do is quote tweet it and be like, I fucked up. I don't get it. I'm sorry. That's all he has to do. Weird segue.
When I was just gonna interject, and Brad, I don't mean to interject over you if you were going to add here. It was so interesting to, I think, both of us being Brad and I, because that next week, I believe, is when Jade won the TBS title. So it's like, oh, this is, I don't know. This is just interesting. We have to see what Tony does from here.
We talked about this, but it was the optics. Even though Jade, obviously we were going to get Jade as the champ.
Yeah.
That's been building forever. And I don't think anybody really thought that it was going to be anybody else, unless it was Thunder Rosa. Yeah. And then we had the Mercedes Martinez run in, which is awesome.
Yeah, she's another one. I've seen LA 100 times. She's dope.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So I loved all of that, and I thought it was perfect, but because it was so close to it, I knew there were going to be detractors that were going to come out and say, well, he's only doing it because. And the part that got me was that as an employer, you simply can't do the public evaluations. You just simply can't. Forget all the other stuff that makes it so much worse, but don't put somebody's eval online. Like, you don't have to do that. You're not Trump. Yeah. You don't have to do that. Like, it's just absolutely wild to me.
Yeah.
And the full Swole quote was not, coming for Tony's neck
at all.
It was, constructive, but also complimentary. And yet, like you said, Tunisha, there's been no sort of follow-up or quote tweet.
Yeah.
He's just kind of stuck with it and hoping that the Black History Month soundtrack that we're going to get from AEW is going to make us all happy and we'll
100% feel more forced and like it's not, it's not worth anything. By the way, the Bengals just beat Kansas City.
I just
get out of here.
Yes.
In overtime.
Oh my gosh.
27-24. Your stupid face. I hate it. I'm so glad you're sad. Yes.
Who has the stupid face?
Patrick Mahomes.
Not Pat Mahomes.
Stupid face. Yeah, he has a stupid face, and his brother has a stupid face. And now they're all sad.
His brother's a
Travis Kelce, you can shave now. Your beard's worthless.
Wow.
Sorry.
Can we talk for a second about how Patrick Mahomes does not sound like what you would expect? That dude sounds no way. The first time I heard him, I was like, "That is not a person. That is a Muppet."
He looks like like the sunken place, and he's just stuck there.
My favorite film, by the way, Tunisha. That's Get Out. Brad knows Get Out is just a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna watch it at some point this week, just because.
Oh my God, the Bengals are in the Super Bowl.
I can't believe
that's so crazy.
We were recording last week during Kansas City Buffalo. And once we got off the call, I went online. Everyone was saying, this is the greatest game I've ever seen. Yeah. And I don't know, Brad, the things we do for GI, right? Go Bengals, though. What a shocker.
And I had been kind of I never had like a hardcore, like, this is my team in the NFL. Basketball, Clippers all day. But NFL, Clippers? I never really did. Clippers.
Wow.
Day. And football, I really liked Peyton. And so when he left Indy, I was just like, I guess I'll be a free agent for a little bit. And so tried out a few teams, tried out the Raiders, tried out the Rams. It was like, meh. But then some good friends of mine, a bunch of them are from Philly and they live in LA. So I really liked Chris Long too. And this was right after the Pats won, and he won there. He went to Philly and won. And that year was the year that I bought a jersey. I bought his Eagles jersey, and that was the year they won the Super Bowl, their only Super Bowl. And so I was like, okay, I'm an Eagles fan. Cool, you're welcome. Because like the day I buy a jersey is the day you guys win. So thank you. You're welcome. But I don't like them, and I don't like a lot of their fans. And I'm just like, maybe I should try free agency again. And now I was like, oh, maybe I'll try on the Bengals. Maybe I'll try them out. Oh, they're celebrating. That's awesome.
Nice choice. I can't believe that. Wow.
That's exciting, man. I'm going to be cheering for them. I don't know who they're going to play.
I hope it's the 49ers.
For my wife's sake, for Jess's sake, I'm hoping that it's not. I'm hoping that she can finally see Stafford, as a Lions fan, see Stafford go to a Super Bowl. At least that'll be something to make her feel a little.
That's what I love too about like sports fandom. Like people are rooting for the Rams only because of Stafford's suffrage in Detroit for a dozen years.
Yeah,
just like
yes,
like people following
that dude deserves it. Yeah. If you could go through that ownership, you deserve all the nice things in the world. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really great.
Because I wonder, like, is there an equivalent to that in I guess in wrestling, right? Like we never saw. Like I'm trying to think of like who's somebody that never really was given their due in one company, but all of a sudden got like a second resurgence, right? Like
50% of the AEW roster.
Exactly,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like 50% of them.
Yeah.
At least.
Basically, yeah.
I saw people giving Adam Cole shit because like he lost to Orange, and I was like, how is that putting him down?
He's on TV constantly.
Like,
his entrance is the most. Yeah. He's maybe in the world. Like that dude is over everywhere, even as the worst kind of bad guy.
And Orange Cassidy is also one of the most over talents on that roster. Like you being in a program with Orange, even though he's a unique character. Like he's one of the biggest merch sellers. He's a face of.
It's fun.
It's
company. Just fun. Sometimes it's silly shit. I am a huge Danhausen mark. I don't care if it's stupid. It's entertaining as all get out. That he tried to curse him
and
was so stupid. Like, and then he was on Twitter saying Adam Cole was too powerful to curse. That was the best thing I've ever seen because it's stupid. He's failed at being a mystic, which is why it works because he's not one.
Yeah. And I'm
so
one
good.
like that. I don't know. I did not know anything and still don't know the wealth of Danhausen stuff. I would always he comes across my time. I'm like, who is this dude?
Yes, right? He's everywhere.
Yeah. Same here. I've had to rely on Brad.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I was like, curse? What? So he curses, he points, then you curse? Like, I didn't know, but I was still excited and hyped when he debuted last week. Where I was hilarious. Still like, oh, that guy.
Perfect debut. And I hope he goes on commentary for a while. I know he's still healing from his broken ankle, but like he says very nice, very evil because you have to be very nice to get people to join your cult. And then you can be very evil together. That's where that thing came from. Nice. And I hope TK buys the rights to Tequila because that's his entrance song. I'm so excited about this. We haven't had a chance to talk about this yet. So
we haven't.
Yeah. So I'm so psyched that Danhausen is there because I know they're going to do some creative stuff with him. He's going to sell a ton of merch for AEW. He's been on the Jericho cruise and teamed with Jericho and Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy and Danhausen have been together before as Orangehausen or some stupid thing. And I know that he did it with Warhausen with Warhorse at one point. So I'm looking forward to see what they do. Kip Sop, Badass Billy Gunn, is a huge fan. And that's why they've been calling them the Ass Boys. I just can't wait.
I saw that video he posted. Yeah. Billy was like, can I get this taken down? Or his son.
Yes,
like,
his son. Colton and Austin hate it. Billy thinks it's great. He came out on Dark wearing an Ass Boys t-shirt. And it's just, I can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's why a lot of people were complaining. I know we're transitioning to AEW for the week anyway. I know that a lot of people were complaining about the Gun Club being in the tag title picture because they're the number one ranked. I don't get it. I mean, the ranking system is supposed to matter there. So if they're number one, they're number one. Doesn't matter who they beat. They have the most wins. They get the shot. No way that this isn't a way to somehow incorporate Danhausen into the mix. There's just no way we don't get him showing up to call them ass boys, throw them off, have them get really mad that Danhausen is there and then cost them the match or something. I can't wait. man, I love this company because it feels like they're doing a lot of things really right, even when they're doing things really wrong. TK and that tweet can't be undone. But at the same time, look what they gave us with Mox.
Yeah.
John Moxley coming out and saying, go fuck yourself. Get that guy out of here, you piece of shit, on TBS. And they're just being fine with it. They didn't even edit it out for the later broadcast. They didn't dump it. They didn't do any of that. They're just like, yeah, let it ride.
Yeah, that's what I love about AEW too. And there's never going to be a perfect promotion. There's no way going to do it, And I was talking to a friend about this the other day, or actually like last night, like after the Rumble and stuff, and talking about like, AEW trolls and all that shit. And I was like, there's no promotion is perfect. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like everything is so far from it. And so I hate when people they confuse constructive criticism with trolling because they're not the same thing. Mm-hmm. And like everyone just gets such a boner sometimes for like calling people out and like saying, oh, you're a troll just because there's like this difference of opinion. And it's hilarious. It's like, do you not understand like how obviously stupid and easy like you look right now like talking about that? Like there's always going to be that good and bad stuff. But that's what I love too about just some of those subtle differences, the rankings, having it be transparent, showing win-loss records, that shit, that the way that I saw UFC start to mimic WWE, I'm now seeing like AEW mimic MMA, and that like they're doing that now, where it's like those ranking systems, the weight, the win-loss records, those types of things. That's something that they're taking that from combat sports, from like boxing, UFC, MMA, whatever. But I love just again that type of convergence of like what works, because all we have to do is look at the landscape, audit what's going on, take what works, apply it to your shit, your secret sauce, right? Because that's all we can do is just look at what's working and take a little bit from these things and make it your own. It's just different ingredients, different features of how to tell that story. And I think AEW is doing that. WWE used to. Now we're in a new era, and we're in a new evolution. And now there's a new company that's starting to do that. And WWE is in that position now of being reactionary instead of leading the innovation. They used to. Right. Now I feel like AEW is doing that. They are now watching the industry, recognizing that wrestling fans, there's such a gamut of us, right? And that some of us, a lot of us, also watch MMA, also watch boxing, and boxers and MMA fighters also watch wrestling and want that payday too. Hence, fucking everything and what we just saw last night in Royal Rumble.
Right.
Right. So I appreciate AEW for their social listening and being able to be innovative and try different things like that, and recognizing too that we're so much more aware because of the information that we have at our disposal, right? Like Danhausen and shit. Like we just look it up and we can see. We watch Being the Elite and we know now where things are coming from and like these little jokes. It's letting fans in on the joke. That makes us feel good. That makes us feel smart. That makes us feel like, oh my God, I know what they're doing. I'm smart. I get it. I'm in. And that's still is, that's part of the experience like we were talking about. That's a form of currency, knowledge. I know. I feel good now. Take my money. Like all of that stuff is so important, and what we didn't have at our disposal before. AEW just now happens to be the promotion doing it better than the others.
Great points, because if you're going to see your favorite wrestler on TV doing a 2-minute promo or a 2-minute interview, and they reference something that they did outside of it, you still get to feel connected and you feel that payoff, and it makes you want more of that. Yeah, it's totally dead on, because time is finite, and if we're gonna get a 1-hour match between Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson, that's an hour where other talent can't be on the show. Plus, there's 2 more matches or 3 more matches, and it's just how do we get all that time in, and how do we get that connection? But I love what they're doing. Their pay-per-views, even when something goes wrong, I love that they course correct. What they did with John Moxley and Eddie Kingston was so awesome. Yes, the sparklers.
Like, oh God. Yeah,
the crowd booing.
Yourself. Yeah.
I love that Moxley they used it. They incorporated it. Moxley, after that match on the mat with the microphone, is like, Kenny Omega's a hell of a wrestler, but he can't make a bomb worth of shit. And then they put it on the official account, and it wasn't even filmed by them because they're like, yeah, let's just retcon this right now. And then Eddie will talk about how he passed out because he was thinking about being in prison again. And and I was like, yeah, you know what? That works.
Yeah.
Let's just, instead of ignoring it, moving it on and doing some other stupid shit.
Yeah, because we're so much more, fans have so much more agency now, and we have that direct line to talk shit and talk to other people, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm curious to see, I won't watch Raw, but I'll see on Twitter if they talk about the WrestleMania sign going on fire. Like, are they going to, somebody better mention it. I'm sure it's going to be like, I think Ronda already tweeted like, hey, I made the thing go on fire. Or somebody already commented on like.
Becky.
Becky, yeah.
Yes, Becky.
So at least the talent is doing that, but I know I would be surprised if it was, one of their producers. That's talent being smart. They
didn't even mention it on the show, I don't think. They just
fucking dumb.
They kept cutting away from it. They didn't want to show the empty stands. I guarantee that was a Vince call saying, don't show that it's empty. We got to make sure that it's full here. Instead of going like, hey, look, we're taking care of the fans because there's a safety hazard. And it was very strange to me, knowing full well that the whole thing was on fire, which was sort of what the night was. But anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a great transition, Brad. Tunisha, I was going to ask you. I know you are in an enviable position of you've stepped away from the weekly WWE product. I think that's an accurate statement. You mentioned not watching Raw. Certainly, Brad and I don't, but we do watch these premium live events pretty religiously. And last night was so interesting because Brad and I thought that the night started completely on fire, of course, total pun intended, with Seth and Roman, and Seth coming out in the full Shield whole gimmick, right, with the music, with the gear. And we just had such high hopes for this show. And it turns out that Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar win their respective Rumbles, which were actually not huge surprises. I think we actually mentioned these two, Brad, as potential, even likely winners. But I guess my question for you, Tunisha, is what do you think about those two winning? Not that they're not great talents or certainly draw eyes and money to the product, but Brad and I, perhaps like a lot of our listeners, just left that show like normal, feeling not even just dejected, but sort of a visceral anger about why did we it's not even like you said about currency. It all comes full circle. I'm going to finish my question here. Why did we spend 4 hours watching this if new stars aren't being built? That's what's so appealing to me about AEW is that, we're getting some familiar names, but there are new stars being built right before our eyes, whether that be Jade or Hangman Page or
we did get that,
or Gimmick Infringement favorite Hook. Why do we need Brock and Roman again? Why?
I gotta interrupt you. We did have a new star made last night, Madcap Moss.
Who and why did he eliminate AJ Styles?
Get out of here with that, which is absolute trash.
Thank you.
I have no idea who it is. I saw it on Twitter and I posted that Snoop gif. Who? Because I don't know who that is. But
correct.
I don't watch, so I'm not supposed to know, I guess.
If you did, you'd still be mad.
Yes.
It's trash.
Because he came out one, right? Well, I thought he was going to
AJ was one
of those Shawn Michaels things, come in first and win the show.
Yes. He did the pose and everything.
Yes. Oh, I thought he was going to be in the final four.
Yeah, he did the pose. He came out one, did the flex,
so
did the
at
HBK
what point,
pose.
what number was he eliminated? Like in the middle?
What
number did Mad Person come in?
Well, Madcap Moss, right? And Rick Boogs and Ridge Holland were all out there, which are just.
And so it was like
they're probably great talents. They're probably great workers. Everybody in pro wrestling at this point, if you're in one of these shows, you're a great worker. Like you're probably really good. Their gimmicks suck. They're just terrible. Rick Boogs cut his hair. He was Shinsuke's hype man and played his guitar. He's just in there flexing and pushing and doing like
impressive feats of strength.
Yes, just pressing people above his head. And instead of yeeting them out of the ring when he had them over their head, he was just pressing them. It's just like, okay, you suck so much you don't know how to do this. And then Bad Bunny showed up, and Bad Bunny can actually go.
Yeah.
That
was really impressive.
He rules. But why is he in the final five?
Yes.
Why is Shane O'Mac here? Granted, I popped as well, but I don't know. I just always go back to Ricochet. Why is Ricochet just a guy?
Yeah.
Tunisha, he is my favorite in all of wrestling.
So
I'm a total mark for the dude. Ever since
At least he was
Lucha
in it this
Underground.
time.
Yeah, at least he was in it. I just this became like a tangent for me, but I guess my question, Tunisha, is what did you think of those results and Ronda and Brock now for sure being two faces of the stupendous WrestleMania, biggest show of the year?
I mean, I think I share a lot of what I saw, which was the trying to guess the amount or how heavy the truck was that filled with money that they dumped on Ronda's, Browsy Acres Ranch and wherever the hell Brock lives and whatever Vikings fucking mountain that he came from.
Saskatchewan. Yeah.
Saskatchewan, yeah.
With Sable.
Dude looks just like the one from, I don't know if you guys saw the show Vikings.
Yes.
It's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Bjorn. Just like, or
yes,
Bjorn
he does.
looks like Brock, I should say.
Yeah.
A lot of money went to them, and I think I said earlier about like them feeling very reactionary. I mean, I think this is a punk reaction, like, and just having to try and feel like you have big names and big stars.
Yeah.
But why bring out those two as opposed to someone internal and creating the new and propel and empower and create a pedestal for and a stage for someone new to compete against AEW versus bringing out Brock and Ronda again. Now, I love Ronda. I do. I'm a stan. Yeah. Love me some Ronda. Not the best in-ring performer. You can't be, if you work part-time. You can't. There's no way, I think she did get a little surprised in terms of like, damn, just like everybody is, right? They get surprised like when you think you can work and then you go in there and you try to put on a match. You're like, oh shit, this is a lot harder, right? To make it look good. She did have some rust. I did, got the call, she came out at 28. So then I put on the little stream and then I watched the remainder, when she won and turned it right back off and started watching Bellator again. But yeah, it just felt forced. I was just like, okay, yeah, we knew. And I saw everyone predicting that it was going to be Ronda.
Yeah.
Weeks, at least that week and a half or so before leading up to. And I was like, well, yeah, she just did have a baby like 4 months ago. But I was like, does she need it? No. So, and I don't know. Obviously don't know this woman personally or anything. So I wouldn't know if it was, does everybody have a price? The whole $1 Million Man thing. Or is this really something that she wanted to do? I saw her post about wanting to be an example for her daughter and say like, having a family and children now like wasn't a derailing act, that there is an opportunity to do both. And there is this very like mom power narrative and movement going on in just sports period, which is great. And I applaud that. But from a booking standpoint in all of this, probably not. I'm not a fan of it. I get it because I feel like they need those big names, but I don't feel like big names, like that's something you have to pay for and go out of the woodwork with. Like Brock was literally, I don't understand either why Charlotte was in the fucking match. I'm like, if the whole point of winning the Rumble is to fight the champion, then why is the champion in it?
So irritating.
And you have talent. It's not like granted you depleted a lot of your roster, but you have talent. It's not like you're lacking finding a woman to replace her.
Asuka was cleared. Io is in NXT. Right. Dakota's in NXT. Raquel is in NXT. You have people. Oh man,
which is why I don't understand. I was like, okay, so Ivory looks good, but why? Yes. I was just like, I get you need like a little comic relief. You have 30 fucking spots. Great, have like 1 or 2. But I was like, why? I was never a Bella person. Like that'd take me. I'm checked all the fuck out.
I'm there with you. Yeah.
Like it goes back to that whole like diva belt, butterflies, E-channel shit.
Summer
I
Rae.
am not who? No.
Summer Rae. Summer Rae shouldn't have been in there. I popped for Ivory because I thought it was hilarious. And
RTC, hell yeah, like that
and it was,
all day.
Love RTC.
Yeah, and it was
for sure.
quick exit. That was great. They gave
hilarious. You need one. It's like that. The what's my man's name?
Santino.
Yes, you need that. You need a little comic relief and fucking an hour.
Bushwhacker.
Yeah,
coming out like this,
45-minute match,
getting thrown out and walking just
right back.
Get tossed. Yeah,
hilarious.
So good. Yeah,
but if you have 30 spots, like man, how deep is their women's roster if you can't even fill 70% of it with actual talent that is not retired and unretired and came back just to prove that they still look good?
or a champ in
Like, I
another
don't care if you
promotion.
can do the splits. Yeah, and how about tag them? How about tag Impact Wrestling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how fucking petty are you? Like, oh, look, here comes Mickey. She's the champion of this place that I will not let you go over to because I want to keep you on my page and my platform.
Yeah, I thought that as well. Yeah.
Multiple times they wouldn't. They're so fucking petty because even the Impact posts, they tagged WWE.
Yeah.
No, that's just like that. There's no such thing as an oversight for a company that fucking big. Of course, that was intentional. That's Dana White. I'm not going to put the belt on France's fucking petty move because they drink with the same devil.
Yeah, I saw the same kind of stuff happen with the AEW Impact relationship as well. The AEW ads that were on Impact were every time they did it, and I love that they did it kind of like the 80s style interviews, 80s 90s interviews. Those ads with Tony, and I loved it, but they made it a point to say we paid for this time, so that when on AEW. They never advertised it. They had the belts on there and they would refer to it, but they never advertised Impact Wrestling. And I always wondered what that deal was. But to blatantly disregard it, exactly. Yeah, but unless they had Kenny or Christian or another talent on Impact TV, then they would advertise it. But they didn't impact, the Good Brothers are wrestling somebody that's over there tonight. It was just sort of, if our talent's over there, we'll advertise Impact because that'll get them over there on a pay-per-view, on a whatever. But I thought dead on, man. Like that WWE just straight up not advertising them, not tagging them, not any of it. Just Knockouts champ, but not at Impact Knockouts champ. Feels very petty.
Yeah, and like overall, it's like I understand why they feel like they need those names. I just, I don't get even both. I mean, it's so obvious. It just looks so obvious. And I feel like the timeline, I didn't watch Brock and Bobby, just like I didn't watch the rest of the Rumble. But as soon as he lost, everyone was like, okay, he's going to win now.
Yes.
And it felt like one of those.
100%.
Everyone. Like,
no
and B30, like I understand we have to suspend our belief and this is pro wrestling and all of this stuff. But I mean, help me out. Give me something to believe. Like, can you pretend just a little bit? Like, can you not fake it that much? Like, don't make it so fucking obvious.
Yes.
I mean, the final five was it Brock, RK Bro, Drew, and Bad Bunny? I want to say.
Bunny. Yep.
There's no doubt Brock is winning that.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help me out.
And they gave us Drew and Brock in the final two, part 2.
And I feel bad.
As soon as you see that, Drew's losing.
Yeah.
Of course. And I felt bad because like Drew's championship was like all during COVID, so he had no fucking fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
to really celebrate his thing. Yeah.
When they had Randy Orton at the best he's ever been and then gave him the belt a month too late. When all of his steam had been lost, like they should have put it on him earlier. That feud could have gone on for months, and it would have been great. Instead, it went on for months, and it sucked.
Forced.
Like just
the
bad.
Word for Rumble is forced to me,
yeah.
And so I know we'll probably get, a good couple of weeks of Ronda deciding, between Becky and Charlotte. But
it'll be Becky and Charlotte. I mean, it'll be Charlotte and Ronda. They've already talked, like, apparently they've been talking about it at Mania for months. They've been wanting to get that, even though they couldn't guarantee that Ronda was going to be there. But everything they do is just reactionary. Like, that's how they did E. Like, that's how they did E. Simply because Roman got COVID, we'll just have him lose the strap so that we can definitely have Brock have a championship. Give me a break, man. That's how E loses?
Yeah. Really? And, I was at SummerSlam out here in Vegas in this past August, and so when Becky came out, like how they did Bianca, I'll never fucking forget that. Like,
Thank you.
And I almost left prior because Allegiant Stadium, it's one of those cashless venues, and so 10 minutes into the place,
when everything crashed,
everything crashed. So
I remember that.
They were just giving out little bottles of water. You couldn't buy a beer, you couldn't buy a chip, a corn nut, nothing. So everybody was just sitting there sober and mad and thirsty for 4 hours. I was already not happy, and then Becky came out, and I was like, "Oh, squash? You go squash Bianca?" I was like, "Oh, fuck you!" And then when Brock came out, I was like, "All right, fine, okay, bye." And so then I walked out so I could get to my car before everybody else. I love Brock. I love Ronda. I love them in UFC, and I'm fans of theirs, but I don't think they're as big of the stars as they think that they are right now. Yeah. And that what they can produce, nobody else can. I feel like what Brock and Ronda could create, what this spectacle, this large stage that they want, they don't own that exclusively. And that they could still get the same level by creating new stars. Like a promotion's job is to promote. And so if you're only promoting two people, then how could you ever fucking get anybody else?
They're driving it by nostalgia and what we know of the past and going. That's why they dust off Goldberg every year. It's just, they just do it just to get people to go, oh, that person I've heard of that I know, I'll have them come on here instead of going like, I don't know. People love Matt Riddle. Have him do some more stuff. Everybody loves Shinsuke. People love Ricochet. Ricochet got a huge pop when he entered. Because people didn't know he was going to be there. The fact that they didn't know he was going to be there, and no Cesaro, no Finn Balor.
That's fucking Cesaro is my dude. Yeah,
that dude is amazing.
They did Kofi wrong. They did Big E wrong. In terms of like losing the titles and stuff. Just like that squash when Brock beat Kofi back then.
Yes,
like,
on the debut of SmackDown.
Yeah,
on
Brock took out both of them,
and never a rematch. Kofi never indicates he wants the title again.
Yeah, I was like, you're still on that fuck shit then. Okay.
Right.
And like that's what I expect from them. And so that's why I'm not as invested in like needing to watch and Twitter is sufficient. And I get what a lot of them are saying now, why they don't want to put something out. It's like, oh well, why do I have to watch Raw or anything if I, can go on Twitter and see the highlights, see the Sports Center versions of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm in that case because it's not worth it to me for WWE stuff.
Brock and
Dynamite,
Bobby,
I watch.
That Brock and Bobby fight has been a dream match, and it sucked. It was just there was a whole bunch of Germans. That's fine. Lashley got Brock in the Hurt Lock. The only thing that came out of it that was any kind of good is that Lashley has the belt again, and I want to see him have the belt again.
And it was a Heyman swerve.
It was a Heyman swerve. It was a long con. It was Heyman was definitely working with Roman the entire time. Mm-hmm. And we know that because I'm actually okay with that because I really like Roman and Heyman together. I like quiet Heyman. There's something about it that's unsettling, and I just really like that for his character. But having Bobby look foolish and weak compared to Brock. I mean, he got a little bit in, but Brock he broke out of the Hurt Lock, and then he just kept murdering Bobby until Roman stopped him. And I was just. This is your champion. You're going to have him look just really weak and then give him the belt. It's Bobby Lashley, the almighty Bobby Lashley. Yeah. He murdered people on his way to get the belt. He killed Goldberg and then killed his kid.
His son.
Yes.
Like I was in person like, kill him. I was like, more. I was
it's so great.
In my seat shouting.
Gage Goldberg, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I just to have him do that after all that hype and have it be so lopsided, it's just bad. And then the Rumble happened and people had their moments, but Kevin Dunn, you have 8,000 camera cuts in 3 seconds. You simply can't pan up so we don't see Kofi's feet hit the ground. Like all you had to do was have a better shot for that. Cut away and nobody would have known except for the people that were in the front. Everybody else would be like,
time he didn't.
Man, like just he doesn't cut away from that, and yet when we get AJ Styles' debut, it's just Roman's face. Like we don't even get to see him come out. Like just unbelievable. Anyway,
bad, forced.
Yes,
is my word. Yeah. That just felt forced.
Totally.
From what I've read, and just didn't feel it. Like Brock forced. Reactionary.
Absolutely. Well, Tunisha, I think our last question for you as we try to keep these episodes to 90 minutes instead of 2 hours. And of course, we want to respect and honor your time.
We could just keep going and going.
I know, right? 3 hour.
We didn't even get to the AEW questions. This would easily be a 3-hour show if we get to the AEW questions.
I got to come on again. I got to have you guys come on IHQ so we can keep chopping
Absolutely.
This
up.
Yes, please. I think our last question for you, though, is who or what are you most looking forward to in wrestling the rest of this year?
Ooh, damn.
We've got some free agents, right? The Keith Lees and Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon, Shane Strickland.
Man.
So much to look forward to. What's on your mind?
Swerve the Realist, right? Is that what he's going by now?
Swerve the Realist.
Swerve the Realist. I saw that.
Yes. Swerve Scott, formerly Swerve Scott.
Yeah,
Swerve the realist, Shane
Swerve
Strickland.
the realist now.
Whenever Miro comes back from his, I mean, there's just the talent at
potentially Wyndham Rotunda.
What's Bray Wyatt gonna do? We want to hear your thoughts. What's on your mind for these next 11 months?
You named some good ones that I would totally mark out and seeing debut sometime, and definitely wanting to get them back in the ring, like Ember Moon and like you said, and Bray, Rotunda and whatever. What else would really work?
Johnny Wrestling.
Yes.
Johnny Gargano. Who else is out there? There's other people out there.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman, right, Titan. I don't know if he does anything for you, but he's obviously a big name.
I'm good.
Yeah, and he shaved his. Wait, no, he always I know he had the shaved head. I think he got rid of his beard, didn't he? I think I saw a picture of him in like an indie thing. And
yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. Shredded though, looks good.
Yeah,
looks good.
Great condition.
Yeah.
Buried indie wrestling a couple of years ago though. Buried it, and now he is an indie wrestler. So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how the boys feel about him being back there, but I feel like if you come out and say that, man, I don't know.
Like I saw Enzo like doing some indie stuff now. This is one. That's another one where I'm not sure like how folks feel like him and Big Cass.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if he's using that name anymore or whatever. But I think he looks healthier now, and I think like he's in a much better place, which I'm glad, to see him do well and turn his life around in that regard.
Right.
But I think I definitely want to see some more action in like the women's AEW. So I really want to see Thunder Rosa and Britt again. Yes. I'm not really into the whole like Rio thing. I was like, I get people really, really small and stuff, but it's like, I'm not buying that someone shaped like a baby Gap model could ever be champion. So like her being like the first one, I was like, not gonna work for me. So I definitely am wanting to see some more action in like the women's side, and hopefully like women's tag titles over there too. I would like to see that happen for AEW. I think they could. Some partnerships there would be great. Some alliances starting to happen, especially now they've got Mercedes and stuff. Like there should just make sense. Like they could, I'm glad, with the TBS title, I think that's now starting to create those extra divisions or sub, rankings between the women's division. So hopefully see some more stuff there. But those free agent names that you mentioned, for sure, super anxious to see if Cross comes back somewhere, because WWE completely fumbled that shit. Yeah. Like him and Scarlett is money.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not like a diehard. Like I know the guy works really hard, and there is like weird, rumors and stuff like QAnon and weirdness, whatever. And it's like, and I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to like their politics or personal anything like that. Like I don't really care, but I know fans pop when they see them. And their entrance that they had in the beginning of WWE was sick.
Yes,
Tunisha, thank you. Brad and I have had several conversations about this. I am a fan.
Sick. And they play on the whole natural born killers thing. They do that. They played on that in the indies. And I think they probably already had this like FSW reunion out here in Vegas, because I kept seeing it locally here, like them coming back, FSW, Future Stars of Wrestling, and here in Las Vegas. But like them together is money. And so I'm curious to see where they end up, or if they just continue to do the indie thing, because them together was fire. Yeah, would love to see Ember. She's great. She's
so
great.
Yeah.
I think we got to see her in AEW. I mean, she'd go anywhere and be a star, but
totally. I'd love to see Trish Adora get some mainstream.
Not WWE, but
yeah, I want to see. We need to see the Lariat Tubman on national television.
Lariat Tubman, yes.
Yeah.
Like
she's been featured on Dark, right?
Yes.
Dark Elevation.
Please, main stage, bring her up immediately. Like that. That's one for sure needs to get on Dynamite. I mean, it's the fucking Lariat Tubman.
Yes, so good.
Like it's just great.
It's on your T-shirt.
Yeah, she could work. Love her. Love her. Love her.
It's an incredible name.
Yes.
This is so good.
I'm
already like, I gotta go find this tea.
Yeah, it's on Pro Wrestling Tees. That's where I got it from. Pretty sure it was Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah, that's where I got my account hacked from. That's where I got my my email and my password taken from and where people tried to get iTunes cards on Best Buy. Not today, friends. Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Yeah, I think the second. Well, we're just now in the beginning of the year, but yeah, I'm curious to see certainly like because this is the last 6 months has been like the most I think I've started watching wrestling again. Nice. And it's been AEW 100% of the time. Like watching Dynamite live. Like I hadn't live tweeted, a wrestling event in a long time. I think I did SummerSlam while I was there just because I felt nostalgic and I was just like, and I had totally I didn't even know the card. Like I knew some stuff was happening. So I just went not knowing shit.
Yeah.
I was like, so which was refreshing to go to. I think that was the only time I'd been to a WWE event where I wasn't like in the parking lot 5 hours before, getting pictures of shit.
You knew we were going to get Bianca versus Sasha too until we didn't.
We didn't. I was like,
right.
So what's happened to Sasha? It's like no one knew.
They knew
like,
the match wasn't going to happen, but of course we find out last minute.
They're say it.
Right.
Yeah, we're not dumb. Like stop treating us like we're dumb. Just like how they did. They thought we were stupid last night. It's like you guys don't know any better. Here, have some more Brock and Roman for the 1900th time. You're dumb. You don't want anything else. I know you better than you. I know what you want. You don't know what you want. Here, take this again.
Right.
They think you're dumb.
It was the main event at the Levi's Stadium, WrestleMania, right? Where Seth cashed in, and that was, I want to say 2014 or 2015. And here we are, right? Here we are 6 or 7 years later, and
same shit.
Here you go again, right? I admire your live tweeting prowess, though. I don't know about you, Brad, and I don't know about you, Tunisha, but I find it. I tried a little bit during the Royal Rumble on my very, not huge platform. And it was difficult. I'm trying to maneuver like watching it versus, I don't know, just like hydrating and then trying to come up with something clever.
It takes reps.
Do I ignore people who are texting me? Like, how do you?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes practice. It takes reps. It takes dedication. It takes strength. You have to have, some camps to get ready to go in. You definitely have to have a game plan. Like I have my folder of go-to gifts. You have to have, the accounts. You have, so there's a lot of mechanics that go into it, because you're right. The ratio between like drink, food, text, Twitter, and live action.
And if you have people, people in the room with you in the space asking you questions like, "Who's that wrestler? I don't watch wrestling. Thanks for coming over." But
that happens a lot, mostly with like UFC or like MMA, like. Going, people coming over, or I go over there and watch a fight and then they want to be taught. And they're like, so who is this? What is this? And so it just depends sometimes.
Who's this Ryan Bader? That's the
some people I'm just like, Google it. It's like I'm busy, Google it. But if it's an important thing, half the time I need to watch it by myself, so I eliminate said distractions. When Francis beat Stipe for the heavyweight title last year, I was at a friend's house. And she gets excited when I get excited. So she was like, okay, tell me everything's going on. But when the main event was on, she knew not to bother me. So, because it's like now I'm standing in front of the television with like my phone and I'm recording my reaction because I knew like what I wanted. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do it, memorialize it. So it depends. Yeah, you have to set your boundaries and set your, do you need to be alone? Is this a social event? Are you highly invested? How important is this one? Yeah, all things to consider.
Awesome. Brad, I love this episode. That's all I got for Tunisha. How about you? Are you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't think I have any more questions. I'm sure if you give me 5 seconds, I'm going to have some. Like we could probably talk all day. But this was so much fun. I've really enjoyed this.
Same. Thank you both for having me on. Love to do it again. Love to get a promo next time. I think I did some in the middle of things. There were many rants I had in there, but love to have you on IHQ too. And thank you both. Really appreciate it. Would love to come back anytime.
Is there anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah.
I have questions. The podcast, IHQ Pod, on Twitter. It's been dormant for a little bit. Last episode was in November, but we have some new episodes.
Great app, by the way.
Thank you.
That was my first interaction really with you outside of a meeting here or there.
Yeah.
When I listened to it, and I was like, "What?"
Like, who is this?
You got to check it out, everyone.
Getting around to it, and I was like, "This is incredible. We got to get together."
Thank you. Yeah, it's the show where culture and conversation collide, and I rap with people about sports, politics, society, just communities, period. And we just have conversations to try to understand what the fuck's going on outside and what people do and embrace, and to stay safe, sane, and entertained sometimes is what I say, because I think those are three different things. And just having conversations with really interesting people. And sometimes I'll just hit record and just talk to myself and ask myself questions about what's going on outside or in the world with sports and anything else that's kind of trending in the world with pop culture and stuff. So really interesting show. But yeah, I definitely am going to work on getting more consistent and putting out some more episodes. There are certainly 2 in the books that just need to get edited, but just follow, like, and subscribe, all that good shit, because then you'll know and you won't be late. And we know people don't like that. You got to be in the know.
That's right.
You got to. Well, thank you so much, Tunisha. Everyone, please follow her at T Singleton Says. That's the letter T. Singleton Says. For Brad and I, you know where to find us. Brad is at Winduster. I am at Tyler J. McDowell. You can follow the pod's Twitter at GIPod19. You also know about the website we got. Please continue to check on that. Brad, what's our official URL these days? Gimmick Infringement Pod?
GimmickInfringementPod.com. You check us out. Nothing new to report on the pod, but you can find links to the audio portion and soon to the video portion. I'll be getting that up and running here pretty soon.
Yeah, Brad just creates magic, like I say, each and every time.
Exciting.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, my partner. Also, please be sure to follow the team, the mighty 19 Media Group at 19M Group. On Twitter. Our website, I should say, for 19 Media is 19mediagroup.com. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you, everyone. Be well.